My name is Laura Benton, and I was 42 years old when my family put my daughter at a folding table after my mother's funeral and told her to sign away $186,000. Maya was 20. She still had a black dress on. There was a paper plate with potato salad in front of her that she had not touched. My older sister, Vicky, slid a document across the table and said, "Your grandma would want the adults to handle this." That was the unfair part. The reversal was that my mother had already handled it. 3 months before she died, she had changed her teacher's retirement death benefit, named Maya directly, and left a recorded phone verification with the plan administrator. Vicky did not know that. She also did not know the claims examiner had already flagged 2 account access attempts from her home internet. So when Vicky brought a notary, a retired lawyer, and half the family to pressure my daughter, she thought she had built a room where Maya would be alone. She had built a room full of witnesses. If someone ever told your child to give up what a grandparent left them because family knows best, tell me in the comments what you would have done before you hear what I did. My mother, Helen Price, taught 4th grade for 34 years in Canton, Ohio. She retired with a bad knee, a wooden recipe box, and a classroom voice that could stop 2 boys from wrestling over a pencil without rising above normal volume. She was not rich. People heard $186,000 later and acted like Mom had been sitting on a fortune. She had not. She had a small house with a porch that leaned to the left, a pension that paid her bills, and one life insurance-style retirement death benefit through the Ohio Educators Benefit Trust. The policy was tied to her years in the district. She used to call it the last lesson. When I was younger, I thought that meant money for burial and maybe a little left for my sister and me. After I had Maya, Mom changed how she said it. She would look at my daughter reading on the floor and say, "That girl is going to finish what I started." Maya loved school the way some children love sports. At 8, she sorted my grocery receipts by store and date because she liked systems. At 12, she volunteered to help Mom set up bulletin boards in August. At 16, she could get my mother's old laptop to stop freezing by doing something I still do not understand. By 19, she was living with Mom part-time. Not because I pushed her there, because Mom's knee replacement went wrong, then the infection came, then the second surgery, then the weakness that never fully left. I worked medical billing at Mercy Ridge Clinic from 7:30 to 4:00. I could get there every evening. Maya had morning classes at Stark Community and online courses in the afternoon. She started staying at Mom's house 3 nights a week. Then 4. Then 5. She cooked oatmeal. She kept the pill organizer straight. She drove Mom to physical therapy. She sat beside her recliner and read discussion posts for class while Mom watched old courtroom shows and corrected the judge under her breath. My sister, Vicky, visited when somebody else was watching. That is the cleanest way I can say it. If a birthday dinner had a camera phone, Vicky came. If the church ladies were dropping off soup, Vicky came. If Mom's former principal stopped by with flowers, Vicky came 10 minutes after he arrived and said, "I was just about to call." She hugged loudly. She sighed loudly. She carried one grocery bag into the kitchen and talked about it for a week. Her husband, Dean, came less often. When he did, he stood in the hallway looking at the house like he was measuring it. They had one son, Caleb, who was 24 and had been between plans since he left a warehouse job 2 summers earlier. That phrase came from Vicky. Between plans, between applications, between apartments, between paying anyone back. Vicky had a sentence she used whenever money came up. "I am the oldest daughter. I handle the hard things." She said it when Mom asked why the gas bill was missing from the mail stack. She said it when Dean wanted to borrow Mom's car for 1 weekend and brought it back 9 days later with a cracked mirror. She said it when she took over the guest list for Mom's 70th birthday and forgot to invite Mom's best friend from school. "I am the oldest daughter. I handle the hard things." The problem was that the hard things she handled always ended up easier for her. I did not grow up fighting Vicky. That surprises people when they hear the end of this. They think a story like mine must start with two sisters who hated each other from childhood. It did not. Vicky was 5 years older. She was pretty in a sharp way. She knew how to make adults laugh. She knew when to cry. She could walk into a room, scan it once, and know who needed flattery, who needed guilt, and who needed to be ignored. I was the quiet one who kept receipts, because somebody had to know where things went. That is not a metaphor. By the time I was 13, I knew where Mom kept the warranty cards, the bank envelopes, the school contracts, and the little blue folder labeled benefits. I liked paper because paper did not change its story when a louder person walked in. That became useful later. Mom died on a Monday morning in February. She was 72. The official cause was complications from sepsis and heart failure. The real cause was that her body had been asked to recover too many times in a row, and it finally said no. Maya was holding her hand when it happened. I was in the hallway signing a hospice form when the nurse stepped out and said my name softly. There are sounds a person makes when a room changes forever. Maya made one of those sounds. It was not a scream. It was smaller and worse. Vicky arrived 40 minutes later with Dean and Caleb. She walked straight to the bedroom, looked at Mom, touched the blanket once, and then asked me, "Where is the paperwork?" I thought she meant the hospice paperwork. I was wrong. "What paperwork?" I said. "The insurance, the benefit plan, the house file. We need to keep everything organized." Maya was sitting in the recliner with Mom's glasses in her lap. Her face was empty in that way grief makes a young face look older. I looked at my sister and said, "Not today." Vicky's mouth tightened. "I am the oldest daughter, Laura. I handle the hard things." "Then handle calling Aunt Denise," I said. "She needs to hear from family before she sees it online." Vicky did not like that, but there were too many people in the house to argue. The hospice nurse was there. Mrs. Alvarez from next door was standing in the kitchen. Pastor Neil had just parked in front. Vicky could not perform control in that room without looking ugly. So she waited. The funeral was 4 days later at Fairview Baptist. Mom had picked her hymns 2 years before. She had written them on the back of an old lesson plan sheet because that was my mother. Even the instructions for death came on school paper. Maya read a short piece at the service. She kept both hands on the lectern and told a room of 113 people that her grandmother taught her to make a plan, keep a pencil sharp, and never confuse kindness with permission. That last line made Vicky look up. I saw it from the front row. After the burial, we went back to the church fellowship hall. That was where Vicky made her move. The room had beige walls, long tables, coffee urns, and women from the church carrying foil pans like they were delivering medicine. People hugged us. People told stories. People pressed envelopes into my hand for flowers or food. For 1 hour, it was almost peaceful. Then Vicky touched Maya's elbow and said, "Come sit for a second. We need to go over something small." I was across the room talking to Mom's former teaching partner, Mrs. Graham. I saw Vicky guide Maya toward the back table near the storage closet. Dean was already there. So was Caleb. So was a woman I did not know, with a notary stamp pouch on the table. And a man in a brown blazer who looked like he had been waiting for a cue. I started walking. By the time I reached them, Vicky had a folder open. Maya was seated. The woman with the stamp was uncapping a pen. The man in the blazer had one hand on a document and was saying, "This is just a family benefit reassignment, nothing complicated." Maya looked up at me. That look is the reason I can still tell this story without wondering whether I overreacted. She was not confused. She was trapped. I put my hand on the back of her chair. "What is this?" I asked. Vicky did not even blink. "A practical step. At Mom's funeral lunch. This is when everybody is here." The man in the blazer smiled like a substitute teacher trying to calm a class. I am Paul Danner. I used to practice family law. Your sister asked me to help everyone avoid probate confusion. The benefit is not probate, I said. His smile thinned. Vicky looked at me sharply. She had not expected that sentence from me. She should have. I had worked around billing forms, authorizations, beneficiary boxes, and legal name fields for 20 years. Death benefits do not pass through a funeral casserole table because one sister wants them to. Vicky slid the paper closer to Maya. This only says Maya agrees the benefit should be managed by the adults until we decide what is fair. Which adults? I asked. Me, Vicky said, temporarily. Dean looked at his phone. Caleb scratched at a stain on the tablecloth. The notary woman looked at the floor. Maya's voice came out small. Aunt Vicky said Grandma named me because Mom told her to. I felt something go cold behind my ribs. Not hot. Cold. That was how I knew I needed to be careful. Maya, I said, stand up. Vicky put a hand on the document. Laura, do not make a scene. You made one when you brought a notary to a funeral lunch. People at the next table turned. Vicky lowered her voice. This is exactly why Mom should not have trusted you too. Everything becomes drama. There it was, the turn. Not grief, not confusion, accusation. I looked at Paul Danner. Are you representing my daughter? No, but this is a simple acknowledgement. Are you licensed in Ohio? His jaw moved once. I'm retired. Then you are not giving my daughter legal advice in a church fellowship hall. Vicky's face went red. She is 20, Laura. She can hear the facts. Then she can hear this fact. She is not signing anything. Maya stood. I moved her behind me. The notary capped the pen. Vicky whispered, "You will regret embarrassing me." I believed her. Not because she was frightening in the way people mean when they talk about danger. Vicky did not swing at people. She did not break windows. She built stories. And when Vicky built a story, she made sure the first version reached everyone before the truth put its shoes on. By 8:00 that night, 3 relatives had texted me. Aunt Denise wrote, "I heard Maya refused to share your mother's policy." Cousin Grant wrote, "Vicky says your daughter is taking advantage of a clerical mistake." Dean's sister, who was not even related to my mother, posted, "Death brings out greed in the people who did the least." No names. Of course, no names. People like that love a foggy sentence because it lets them deny aiming. Maya sat at my kitchen table that night in one of my sweatshirts. Her funeral dress was folded over the back of a chair. She had washed her face, but her eyes were swollen. "Maybe Grandma did make a mistake," she said. She did not. But what if Aunt Vicky fights it? What if it holds everything up? What if the family thinks I stole from her? I sat across from my daughter and forced myself not to answer too fast. Maya had been carrying adults since she was 19. That was part of the problem. Everyone had gotten used to her being steady, so they forgot steady people can still be wounded. "Listen to me," I said. "Your grandmother named you because she wanted you named, not because I made her, not because you tricked her, because for 2 years you showed up when showing up was boring, hard, and unpaid." Maya stared at the table. "Aunt Vicky said the money should stay with the family." "You are family." Her chin started to shake. "She said I am too young." "Then she should not have been asking you to sign a legal document." That got through. Maya looked up. "What do we do?" "We get the records." The next morning was Saturday. I woke up at 5:12, made coffee, and pulled Mom's blue benefits folder from the file box I had brought home after hospice. Inside were old statements, district retirement notices, a copy of her driver's license, and a sticky note in Mom's narrow handwriting. "Call OEBT. Ask for Carol if confused. Maya first. Laura backup. No V." No V. I sat at my kitchen counter and read those 2 words until the coffee went cold. Mom had not written, "No Vicky." She had written, "No V," like even in a note to herself. She did not want to make the ugliness bigger than it had to be. There was also a printed confirmation, dated November 3. Primary beneficiary, Maya Benton. Relationship, granddaughter. Percentage, 100. Contingent beneficiary, Laura Benton. Relationship, daughter. Percentage, 100. The form had a confirmation number. Below it was a paragraph stating that changes made by phone required identity verification, mailed notice, and a recorded verbal confirmation. I took pictures of every page. Then I called the number on the letter. Because it was Saturday, I expected voicemail. Instead, the automated system let me leave a message for the claims department. I gave Mom's name, date of death, and the confirmation number. I said there had been an attempted pressure signing at a funeral reception, and I wanted the beneficiary file preserved. Monday morning at 9:18, Carol Hensley called me. Her voice was calm and clipped, the voice of someone who had spent years telling families things they did not want to hear. "Ms. Benton, I am the senior claims examiner on Helen Price's file. First, I am sorry for your loss." "Thank you. Second, I need to confirm something. Did your daughter sign any assignment, disclaimer, or family agreement related to this benefit?" "No." There was a small pause. "Good." That one word changed the air in my office. I stepped into an empty exam room and shut the door. "Why good?" "Because we received a fax yesterday morning from a private number. It included a notice of beneficiary dispute and said an assignment was pending." My hand tightened around the phone. "From whom?" "A Victoria Lang." "Vicky." She had been my sister for 47 years, and still it took me 1 second too long to process her legal first name. Carol continued. "The fax included a claim that Maya Benton was named, while Mrs. Price lacked capacity, and that family members were seeking a fair redistribution." "That is false." "I understand. The file is now under beneficiary review. That does not mean payment is denied. It means we need to verify the designation and any challenge." "How long?" "Normally 30 to 45 days. In this case, I want to schedule a formal review call, possibly in person, because there are security concerns." "What security concerns?" Another pause. "There were 2 online account access attempts before Mrs. Price died, one on January 28 and one on February 6. Both failed at the identity questions. The IP address is attached to the file. There was also a call on February 7 from a woman who identified herself as Helen Price." My mouth went dry. February 7. Mom had been on hospice oxygen that day. She could barely speak 3 sentences without coughing. "Did you record it?" "All benefit line calls are recorded." "Was it my mother?" Carol's voice did not change. "It did not pass verification." That was the first proof beat. Not the form, not the funeral table, the access attempts. Somebody had tried to get into Mom's benefit account while Mom was still alive. I asked Carol what she needed from us. She asked for the death certificate, Maya's identification, my identification as contingent beneficiary, any records showing Mom's mental capacity around November, and any communication from Vicky. I said I could get all of it. Then Carol said one more thing. "Ms. Benton, do not communicate with your sister about the claim unless it is in writing." "I was about to tell you the same thing," I said. For the first time, Carol almost laughed. "I started with the medical records. Because Mom had been in and out of care, there were many, too many, but I knew what mattered. Capacity in November, medication records in February, hospice notes showing speech and alertness, visitor logs. Mercy Ridge had an online portal. I printed the November primary care note where Dr. Irwin wrote, "Patient alert and oriented, managing own decisions, understands beneficiary update and purpose. Mom had told him about it during a medication review because she wanted to be sure nobody could say later she was confused. That was my mother. She did not trust drama, but she trusted a chart note. Then I called the hospice agency. The nurse manager, Priya Shah, remembered Mom. She remembered Maya too. "Your daughter used to label the pill cups with painter's tape," Priya said. "Helen called her my little principal." I had to close my eyes for a second. Priya faxed the February 7 note directly to Carol with my authorization. It said Mom was resting, weak, short of breath, and unable to complete extended phone conversations. It also said the only visitors present between 11:00 a.m. and 3:00 p.m. were Maya Benton and hospice aide Renee Miles. The failed benefit line call had happened at 1:46 p.m. That was proof beat too. The call could not have been Mom. I did not know yet who had made it, but I knew who had something to gain. Vicky did what I expected by Wednesday. She sent a family email. Subject line, protecting Mom's wishes. She had copied 23 people, including cousins I had not seen since Caleb's high school graduation. She wrote that Maya was refusing transparency. She wrote that I had taken control of Mom's papers. She wrote that Mom's benefit had always been intended to support the whole family, especially those who had carried the emotional burden of being the eldest daughter. That phrase again. Then came the sentence I saved twice. Maya's name appearing alone on the account does not reflect Mom's true intent, and we are working with the benefit office to correct it. We. There was no we. There was Vicky, Dean, a retired lawyer, a notary with a bad sense of timing, and a fax machine. I forwarded the email to Carol. Then I replied to the family thread with one sentence. Maya is represented in this matter, and all future questions about the benefit should go through the Ohio Educators Benefit Trust review process. I did not have a lawyer yet, but Maya was represented by the file. And sometimes the file is the first lawyer in the room. Still, I called one. Her name was Noreen Patel. She was an employee benefits attorney in Akron, and I found her through a woman at work whose brother had fought a pension beneficiary dispute. Noreen spoke fast, asked direct questions, and did not waste sympathy where action was needed. I told her about the funeral table, the fax, the access attempts, the February call, and the family email. She said, "Do not let them move this into a family argument. Keep it as a plan file issue." What does that mean? It means the question is not who feels deserving. The question is who the plan documents name, whether the designation was valid, and whether there was fraud or undue influence. Family emotion is noise. Plan records are signal. I wrote that down. Noise and signal. That became the next month of my life. Vicky created noise. I gathered signal. She called Aunt Denise and cried about being erased. I requested Mom's November appointment summary. She told cousin Grant that Maya had isolated Mom for money. I got the physical therapy attendance record, showing Vicky had canceled 3 scheduled rides, and Maya had replaced her each time. She told Dean's sister that I was hiding assets. I got Mom's credit union statements showing Vicky had not contributed to groceries, utilities, medication copies, or funeral expenses in the last year. Then, on March 3, Noreen called me. "Laura, I need you sitting down." I was in the clinic break room, holding a plastic fork. "I am sitting." The plan administrator sent the dispute packet Vicky filed. There is more than the fax. What more? She included a caregiver reimbursement statement. For what? For $1,420. I actually laughed once. It came out wrong. Vicky was not Mom's caregiver. I know. The statement claims she provided transportation, medication management, meal preparation, home safety checks, and end-of-life coordination from April through February. Maya did that. There is also a spreadsheet. Of course there is. And there is a letter purportedly signed by your mother authorizing Vicky to be reimbursed from any death benefit before distribution. That was the midpoint. The betrayal was not only that Vicky wanted Maya's money. She had built a paper version of a life she did not live. I asked Noreen to send me the letter. When it came through, I opened the PDF at my desk and stared at my mother's name at the bottom. Helen M. Price. The signature was wrong. Not wildly wrong, that would have been easier. It was close enough to show effort and wrong enough to make my stomach turn. Mom's H had a little loop at the top. This H was stiff. Mom connected the P and Price to the R, this one did not. The letters looked copied, not written. The date was January 29, the day after the first failed account access attempt. I printed it and drove to Maya's apartment after work. She lived in a small second-floor unit near campus with one crooked bookshelf and a kitchen table she had bought for $12 at a yard sale. She opened the door and knew from my face that something had changed. What did she do? I handed her the paper. She read it standing in the doorway. Then she sat down on the floor. Not in a dramatic way, her knees just folded. She said she made grandma soup, Maya whispered. What? This says meal preparation. She brought soup one time. It was still cold in the middle because she bought it from the deli and put it in grandma's bowl. I sat beside her on the floor. There are moments when anger wants to make you big. That moment made me very still. Vicky had not only tried to take money, she had tried to steal the record of care. That hurt Maya more. The money mattered. Do not let anyone pretend it did not. $186,000 meant Maya could finish her degree without loans. It meant she could replace the car that failed every emissions test. It meant she could breathe. But the spreadsheet hurt differently. Because every line was a lie laid over something Maya had actually done. Meal preparation, transportation, medication management, end-of-life coordination. Those were not categories to her. They were nights. They were alarms at 2:00 a.m. They were oatmeal with cinnamon, because Mom could still taste cinnamon. They were pharmacy lines and shower chairs and learning how to wash someone's hair without making them feel helpless. Vicky had turned all of that into a reimbursement claim. The next morning, I called Priya at hospice again. I apologized before I asked. I need visitor logs. Priya did not ask why. Maybe she already knew. Families tell on themselves in the same patterns. By Friday, she had sent the official log for the last 8 weeks of Mom's life. It listed staff visits, family present, care notes, and emergency calls. Maya appeared on 37 entries. I appeared on 29. Mrs. Alvarez from next door appeared on 11. Vicky appeared on 3. One of those was marked, arrived for, 12 p.m., left for, 29 p.m., declined medication training review. That was proof beat 3. Not emotional, not arguable, a log. I also called Ritter Pharmacy. Because Maya had picked up Mom's prescriptions, the pharmacy had a signature record. They would not send full health information without authorization, but they could confirm pickup initials and dates for the medications listed in the hospice plan. The pharmacist, Mr. Keller, remembered Maya. Blue backpack, he said. Yes. Always asked for the printed med sheet. Yes. I can provide a transaction signature summary to the plan administrator if they request it. Noreen requested it the same day. The summary showed 18 pickups. Maya signed for 14. I signed for 4. Vicky signed for none. Proof beat 4. The clean kind. Vicky's noise got louder when she realized the review was not going her way. She came to my clinic on a Tuesday. I was at the front desk, helping a patient understand why his insurance had denied a lab charge from October. I heard my name in the waiting room before I saw her. Laura Benton. Full name. That was how she entered a room when she wanted an audience. She wore a camel coat and carried a folder. Dean was behind her, looking uncomfortable but not stopping her. My manager, Keisha, looked from Vicky to me. "Do you need a minute?" "No," I said. "She can leave." Vicky laughed once. "See, this is how she handles family." I stepped out from behind the desk because I did not want patients pulled into our life. "Vicky, this is my workplace." Then act like an adult for 5 minutes. "You brought a false reimbursement claim against my daughter." Her eyes flashed. "It is not false. I carried the emotional burden." There it was again, dressed up in a new coat. "The benefit plan does not pay for emotional burden." A man waiting near the magazines looked up. Vicky lowered her voice. "Maya is going to lose this if she keeps letting you poison her. The adults are trying to protect her." "From what?" "From blowing through money she did not earn." That sentence made Keisha stand. She did not say anything. She did not have to. Keisha is 5 feet tall and can make a billing office feel like a courtroom by removing her glasses. I said, "You need to leave." Dean touched Vicky's elbow. "Let's go." Vicky pulled away from him. "Mom trusted me." Mom wrote "No V" in her benefits folder. Vicky's face changed. Just for half a second. It was enough. She had not known about the note. Dean had not known either. He looked at her like he had just heard a door lock from the wrong side. Vicky recovered. "That proves nothing." "Then you should be comfortable letting the review finish." Keisha stepped closer. "Mrs. Lang, I am going to ask you to leave our clinic now." Vicky looked around the waiting room and realized she had misread it. She thought a public place would pressure me. Instead, it froze her in front of strangers who had no family loyalty to her version. She left. Keisha followed her to the door and locked it after she stepped out. Then Keisha turned to me and said, "Please tell me you have cameras." We did. Proof Beat 5 came from my own workplace. The clinic footage did not decide the benefit claim, but it showed Vicky publicly pressuring me, repeating that Maya had not earned the money and tying the dispute to control. Noreen added it to the file as evidence of coercive conduct toward the beneficiary's household. That same week, Carol scheduled the review. Not a court hearing, not a trial, a plan administrator beneficiary review at the Ohio Educators Benefit Trust office in Columbus. The email listed the attendees. Carol Hensley, Senior Claims Examiner. Marcus Reed, Plan Compliance Manager. Ellen Fry, Retired District HR Benefits Coordinator. Priya Shah, Hospice Nurse Manager. Noreen Patel, Counsel for Maya Benton. Victoria Lang, Disputing Party. Dean Lang. Laura Benton. Maya Benton. The notary from the funeral lunch, Sandra Meeks, was invited because her stamp number appeared on the draft assignment Vicky had submitted as pending. Paul Danner was invited too. When I read the list, I felt my breath catch. This was the room. Not my mother's living room, not a church table, not a family email, a room with people whose job was to read records in order. Maya read the email twice. "Do I have to speak?" "Only if you want to." "What if I cry?" "Then you cry, and the documents stay the same." She nodded, but she was scared. I could see it in the way she folded the sleeve of her sweatshirt over her thumb. The night before the review, she came over with a cardboard box. Inside were Mom's pill charts, the painter's tape labels, a stack of appointment printouts, and a spiral notebook. "I forgot about this," she said. It was a plain green notebook from the grocery store. On the first page, Mom had written Maya's school and Grandma's nonsense because Mom thought she was funny. The notebook was half care log, half life. Blood pressure numbers, medication times, grocery lists, notes from physical therapy. Then little comments in Mom's handwriting. Maya made soup too spicy, pretended not to notice I ate 2 bowls. Laura fixed the shower chair. Vicky said she would order one, but Laura did it before lunch. Maya passed anatomy quiz. I told Mrs. Alvarez like I passed it myself. On the back page, dated November 3, Mom had written 1 paragraph. Changed benefit today. Carol asked me 3 times if I was sure. I am sure. Maya stayed. Laura raised the kind of girl who stays. Vicky will say I was confused. I am not confused. I am finished pretending loud love is the same as real care. Maya covered her mouth. I had to sit down. That was not just proof. That was Mom reaching forward. Noreen told us to bring the original notebook, but not to wave it around. Let the administrator ask. Let the file build. Let the records lead and the emotion follow. That is harder than people think. When someone lies about your child, every instinct says to start with your loudest truth. But a strong record works best in order. So we slept badly, woke early, and drove to Columbus in silence. Halfway there, Maya said, I keep thinking Grandma would hate this. She would hate the room, I said. She would like the preparation. Maya looked out the window. She always said, bring 2 pencils. We brought a box. She almost smiled. Before we went in, I need to say something because this is where a lot of people quit in real life. They get tired right before the room where the truth can finally be read out loud. If you want to see stories where the quiet records catch up to loud people, share this one and subscribe before I tell you what Vicky said when the recording started. The Ohio Educators Benefit Trust office was on the 3rd floor of a brick building near a parking garage. The review room had a long table, a wall screen, a pitcher of water, and no family photographs. I appreciated that. Family photographs make liars sentimental. Carol Hensley sat at the head of the table with a laptop. Marcus Reed sat beside her with a binder. Ellen Fry, the retired HR coordinator, had silver hair cut at her jaw and a stack of old district policy manuals in front of her. She had worked with Mom for years. She gave me one small nod when we entered, but she did not perform sympathy. She knew what room she was in. Priya from hospice sat near the window. Noreen sat with Maya and me. Vicky arrived 6 minutes late. Dean was with her. Paul Danner came in behind them, carrying the same brown folder from the church. Sandra Meeks, the notary, came last and sat 2 chairs away from Vicky like distance could wash off ink. Vicky looked at the room and smiled. It was her public smile, the one that had gotten casseroles and credit and second chances. I appreciate everyone trying to honor my mother's real wishes, she said before sitting down. Carol looked up. Mrs. Lang, this is an administrative review, not a mediation. We will review the plan file and related submissions. Please answer only when asked. Vicky's smile stiffened. I looked at Maya. She was staring at the table, both hands wrapped around a paper cup of water. Carol began with the designation. On the screen appeared the November 3 beneficiary confirmation. Primary beneficiary, Maya Benton, 100%. Contingent beneficiary, Laura Benton, 100%. Carol read the confirmation number, date, and verification method. Then she played the recorded verification. My mother's voice filled the room. Thin, tired, clear. This is Helen Price. Carol's recorded voice asked her to confirm her date of birth, last 4 digits, address, and district employment history. Mom answered each one. Then came the question. Mrs. Price, you are naming your granddaughter, Maya Benton, as the sole primary beneficiary of your death benefit. Is that your instruction? Yes. Are you under pressure from Maya Benton, Laura Benton, or any other person to make this change? No. Do you understand this change removes prior beneficiaries from the primary position. Yes. Can you explain in your own words why you are making this change? There was a small breath on the recording. Then Mom said, because Maya is the one who stayed. Laura knows. Vicky will be angry. I am doing it anyway. The room went silent. Maya cried then. Quietly, one hand over her mouth. I did not touch her because I knew if I did, I might break too. Vicky looked at the screen like it had insulted her. She was coached. Carol paused the recording. Mrs. Lang, you will have time to respond. I am responding now. That is not proof of capacity. Dr. Irwin's November chart note went up next. Alert and oriented. Understands beneficiary update and purpose. No cognitive impairment observed. Then Ellen Fry spoke. Her voice was firm. I administered district benefit workshops for 21 years. Helen Price attended 3 of them after retirement because she liked understanding things. She knew the difference between a pension, probate property, and this death benefit. In September, she called me personally and asked whether a granddaughter could be named directly. I told her yes. Vicky turned toward her. You never told me that. Ellen Fry looked at her over the rim of her glasses. Helen did not ask me to tell you. That was the first time. Vicky had no immediate sentence ready. Carol moved to the dispute packet. The screen showed Vicky's facts. Notice of beneficiary dispute. Then the caregiver reimbursement statement. Vicky sat straighter. That spreadsheet reflects years of emotional and practical responsibility. Marcus Reed spoke for the first time. The plan does not recognize emotional responsibility as a basis to redirect a named beneficiary payment. Dean looked down. Vicky's cheeks flushed. Carol displayed the hospice visitor log. 37 entries with Maya's name. 29 with mine. 3 with Vicky's. The January 29 entry was highlighted. No Victoria Lang present. That was the date of the alleged reimbursement authorization letter. Carol displayed the letter next. Mrs. Lang, you submitted this document as an authorization from Helen Price for reimbursement from the benefit proceeds. Did you prepare this letter? Vicky glanced at Paul. Paul looked at the table. I typed it for Mom from what she told me. Carol clicked to the next slide. The metadata summary showed the document had been created on Vicky's home computer on February 8 at 10:14 p.m. 1 day after the failed phone call. 10 days after the date printed above the signature. The silence changed shape. Dean looked at Vicky. You said she signed that in January. Vicky did not answer him. Marcus said, the document properties are not, by themselves, a handwriting determination, but they contradict the stated preparation timeline. Noreen slid a page forward. We also have the original green notebook. It contains dated entries by Helen Price, including a November 3 note about the beneficiary change and a statement anticipating Mrs. Lang would claim confusion. Carol asked to see it. Noreen handed it over. Carol did not read the whole notebook aloud. She read only the paragraph. Maya stayed. Laura raised the kind of girl who stays. Vicky will say I was confused. I am not confused. I am finished pretending loud love is the same as real care. Vicky stood up. This is disgusting. Carol looked at her. Please sit down. No, my mother would never write that. Ellen Fry said she would. Vicky turned on her. You knew her from work. I was her daughter. Ellen Fry's face did not move. I knew her from work for 34 years. That means I saw what she did when nobody was performing family. That landed harder than anyone expected. Sandra Meeks, the notary, raised her hand slightly. Carol looked at her. Ms. Meeks. Sandra swallowed. I want to clarify my role. Mrs. Lang told me the document at the funeral luncheon was a simple witness form and that the beneficiary had already agreed. I did not notarize anything. When Ms. Benton objected, I stopped. Noreen asked, "Did you know Maya Benton had not been told in advance there would be legal paperwork?" "No." "Did you know Paul Danner was retired and not counsel for Maya?" Sandra's face turned pink. "No." Paul Danner shifted in his chair. Carol turned to him. "Mr. Danner, did you draft the proposed assignment?" Paul cleared his throat. "I helped Victoria put language around what the family wanted." "Did you advise Maya Benton to seek independent counsel before signing?" "I would have." Noreen leaned forward. After she signed, Paul did not answer. That was enough. Then Carol played the February 7 call. I had prepared myself for Mom's voice again. It was not Mom's voice. It was a woman trying to make herself sound older and weaker. She gave Mom's date of birth correctly. She gave the address correctly. Then Carol's recorded system asked for the name of the elementary school where Mom first taught. The caller said, "Fairview." Wrong. Mom's first school was Longecker. The system asked for the last 4 digits of the bank account used for premium deductions in 2016. The caller said she did not have her glasses. The system transferred to a representative. The representative asked why she was calling. The caller said, "I need to know who is on my policy. I may need to change it back to my daughter Victoria because she handles the hard things." Maya's head snapped up. There it was. The sentence. Not proof by itself, but people leave fingerprints in language. Vicky stared at the table. Dean whispered, "Vic." She shook her head once. Carol stopped the recording. "Mrs. Lang, did you place this call?" Vicky looked up. "No." Carol clicked to the call log. The call originated from a number ending in 4418. "Is that your home landline?" Dean closed his eyes. Vicky said nothing. "Mrs. Lang." She folded her hands. "My mother used my phone sometimes." Priya spoke then. Helen Price was under hospice supervision at the time of that call. She was not at Mrs. Lang's home. She was in her recliner with oxygen support. My aide was present in the house. Helen was not making benefit calls. Carol added, "The online access attempts originated from an IP address associated with your home internet provider, according to the security report." Vicky's voice rose. "So now I am a criminal because I tried to help my mother." Marcus answered, calm as a locked drawer. "No one here has called you a criminal. We are documenting irregular access attempts, a failed impersonation call, a disputed reimbursement letter, and a proposed assignment presented to a beneficiary without advance notice." Dean pushed his chair back. For a second, I thought he was leaving. Instead, he looked at Carol. "I did not know about the call." Vicky turned to him. "Dean." He did not look at her. "I knew about the dispute. I knew you thought it should be split. I did not know about pretending to be Helen." "I did not pretend to be anybody." Carol asked, "Did you know about the caregiver reimbursement statement?" Dean rubbed both hands over his face. "She told me it was for time, for everything she did." Maya spoke for the first time. Her voice was quiet, but it carried. "What did she do?" No one answered. Maya looked at Vicky. "I am asking you, what did you do?" Vicky's mouth tightened. "I carried the stress. I had to worry. I had to think about losing my mother." "So did I," Maya said, "but I also changed her sheets." The room went still. Maya kept going. "I crushed her pills in applesauce. I learned which socks did not hurt her ankles. I drove across town because she wanted the lemon yogurt from that one store. I missed 2 study labs because the oxygen company gave us the wrong tubing. I slept on the couch because she was scared at night." Vicky looked away. Maya wiped her face with the back of her hand. You came 3 times in 8 weeks. One time you took a picture with her and left before the nurse arrived. One time you brought soup that was cold. One time you asked where the benefits folder was. Dean looked at his wife. Sandra Meeks looked at her hands. Paul Danner closed his folder. Maya's voice shook, but she did not stop. Grandma did not leave me money because I was cute or young or easy to control. She left it because she wanted me to finish school and because she knew I would remember her correctly. You tried to take the money, but the worst thing you did was try to take the care too. That was the sentence that ended Vicky's room. Not legally, the legal part still had to be finished. But socially, the air changed. People stopped watching Vicky as a grieving daughter and started watching her as a woman surrounded by her own documents. Carol called for a 10-minute break. Vicky went into the hallway. Dean did not follow her. He stayed seated with his elbows on his knees. I walked Maya to the water cooler. You did good, I said. I almost threw up. You still did good. Grandma sounded so tired on the recording. She sounded sure. Maya nodded. When we returned to the room, Vicky was already seated. Her face looked different. Not sorry, smaller. Carol read the determination summary from a prepared form. Based on the plan documents, recorded beneficiary verification, medical capacity note, district benefits testimony, hospice records, pharmacy transaction summary, security logs, and insufficient evidence supporting the dispute, the Ohio Educators Benefit Trust recognizes Maya Benton as the sole primary beneficiary of Helen Price's death benefit. Maya closed her eyes. I put one hand on the edge of the table to steady myself. Carol continued. The dispute filed by Victoria Lang is denied. The proposed assignment is rejected. The caregiver reimbursement statement is not recognized by the plan and will not reduce or redirect benefits. Vicky whispered, "This is not fair." Marcus looked at her. Mrs. Lang, the plan will also refer the failed impersonation call, access attempts, and disputed authorization letter to our internal fraud unit. Depending on findings, the matter may be referred to appropriate state authorities. Dean stood. I need air. This time he left. Vicky did not move. Paul Danner said, I would like the record to reflect I did not advise anyone to impersonate anyone. Noreen said, the record reflects what it reflects. Sandra Meeks asked whether her notary commission was in danger. Carol said the plan would not make that determination, but her statement would be included. The meeting ended at 12:42 p.m. No one hugged. No one shouted. The victory was administrative. A PDF would come later. A deposit would come later. A fraud unit letter would come later. But when Maya and I walked to the parking garage, she stopped halfway across the 3rd level and leaned against a concrete pillar. For a second, I thought she was going to cry again. Instead, she pulled Mom's folded sticky note from her coat pocket. Novi. She had brought it with her. Grandma knew, she said. Yes. And she still let me love her without warning me every day. That sentence hurt because it was true. Mom could have spent her last months turning Maya against Vicky. She did not. She made records. She made a plan. She let Maya's care stay clean while the paperwork carried the fight. That is a kind of mercy people do not talk about enough. 2 weeks later, the official determination letter arrived. It was 4 pages long, dry language, claim number, plan section, beneficiary designation, dispute denied, payment approved. The practical receipt came 3 business days after that. $186,412.77 deposited into a new account in Maya's name only. Not mine. Not Vicky's. Not the family. Maya's. Noreen helped her set up a basic plan. Tuition first, emergency fund, car replacement, taxes reviewed, no large gifts, No emotional spending in the first 60 days. Maya followed it like Mom had handed her a worksheet. Vicky did not call her. She did send one email to me. Subject, you won. The body said, I hope you're proud of turning my own mother against me. I forwarded it to Noreen and did not answer. 3 weeks after the review, Carol sent a separate closure note. The fraud unit had confirmed the access attempts and call origin. The file had been referred to the plan's legal department. I was not told what happened after that. That is how these things work. Not every consequence comes with a front row seat. But there were visible consequences. Vicky resigned from the church bereavement committee after Pastor Neil asked why a notary had been present at Helen Price's funeral lunch. Paul Danner sent Noreen a letter stating he would not participate in any further family benefit matters. Sandra Meeks reported the incident to the Notary Commission herself, probably to get ahead of it. Dean moved into Caleb's apartment for a while. I heard that from Aunt Denise, who had stopped repeating Vicky's version after I sent her 1 page of the determination letter. Not the whole thing, just the page that said dispute denied. That was enough. The family chat went quiet. Quiet can mean many things. Sometimes it means people are reflecting. Sometimes it means they are embarrassed. Sometimes it means they are waiting for a new story to make them comfortable again. I did not need to know which. Maya finished the semester with 2 A's and 1 B+. She bought a used silver Honda with 61,000 miles and a clean title. She cried harder at the dealership than she did in the benefit review because she said Grandma hated when her old car made that grinding sound and would have been relieved. In May, we cleaned out Mom's sewing room. That was the emotional receipt. Not the money, not the letter, the room. Mom had kept fabric in plastic tubs, lesson plan binders in the closet, and a bulletin board full of old class photos. Maya wanted to turn the room into a study because it got the best afternoon light. We did it slowly. 1 box at a time. No relatives with opinions. No folders sliding across tables. No one saying adults should handle it. Just Maya, me, Mrs. Alvarez from next door, and a radio playing too quietly by the window. Inside the desk drawer, Maya found a pack of sharpened yellow pencils wrapped with a rubber band. On top was a note in Mom's handwriting. For Maya's next hard class. Maya sat in the desk chair and held those pencils like they were glass. Then she put them in a blue mug beside her laptop. That mug is still there. The determination letter is in a fireproof box. The fraud unit closure note is beside it. The beneficiary confirmation is scanned in 3 places because I am still me. But the pencils stay on the desk. That is what Vicky never understood. She thought being the oldest daughter made her the owner of every hard thing. She thought volume could become truth if she said it in front of enough people. She thought my daughter would confuse grief with obedience. Maya did not. She was scared. She cried. She asked if giving in would make it stop. That part is important. Strong people ask that question too. They ask it in kitchens, in cars, in courthouse hallways, in benefit offices, in all the places where the cost of standing up feels heavier than the document in front of them. But she did not sign. That is the line everything turned on. Not the review room, not the recording, not even the sticky note. The first win was a 20-year-old girl at a funeral table, looking at me with fear in her face, and still keeping her hand away from the pen. My mother used to say a clean pencil matters because you cannot do good work with a broken point. I think about that now when I see Maya at the desk, late afternoon light on her notes, Grandma's pencils in the mug, the silver Honda parked outside, and the room finally being used for the future it was meant to protect. The money paid tuition. The letter closed the dispute. The record stopped the lie. And my daughter got to remember her grandmother as the woman who stayed clear until the end, who trusted paper when people got loud, and who left one final lesson where it could not be shouted down.